People who separated divorced within 1 year of getting married. When did you know it was a mistake? Not me, but my dad. He got remarried after being divorced for about 5 years. I would have been all for it, but he met this woman in another state on a business trip and would travel up to see her every weekend after they hit it off. They knew each other for 6 months before getting engaged. The engagement was only for 3 months. My brother and I tried telling him about all the red flags, telling him to take his time. My dad is very well off financially, and we kept trying to tell him things were moving too quickly, that she was only in it for the money. She moved her whole family from their hometown to the city my dad lived in, including their elderly grandmother who needed constant medical supervision. Before they were even married, the pantry was full of Whole Foods brand food instead of the local grocery store, as was tradition. All new furniture, and had the house repainted, all at his bride-to-be's request. The marriage lasted all of 2 weeks. Apparently my dad's new bride had the gall to ask my dad to leave everything to her in the will, and write me and my brother out. Only then did he realize she was in it for the money. The next day he had the marriage annulled. Someday I would like to know what it's like to fall so completely for someone that I don't recognize. They are taking advantage of me. Must feel good for that instant before it all comes crashing down. When he choked me against a wall at a party, he was mad that I laughed at another guy's joke. People were passing by us but just kinda looked and kept going. Lots of other stuff happened, but it took me a while to wake up and break away. I was in denial for too long. But I knew it was over when she started a fight at my brother's funeral because female attendees were giving me hugs as part of condolences. Sorry you had to deal with that. My younger brother passed away last year and I can't imagine having to think about anything else other than the pain of it. My older bro's crazy ex actually showed up to the funeral and used the whole event to try to get close to him again. Some people are just unbelievable. I knew a week after I got married when he slammed my head into the wall because he saw me looking at a man at an ice cream shop. I'm from the US and got married in England. This dude changed completely right after we got married. A couple of weeks later, I had to get out of there and come back to the US. This happened to me as well. I woke up the morning after our wedding and we were driving. He took my head and slammed it into the truck window. It was insanity to be with someone for years and instantly crap changes. It wasn't even like I was with the same person. She nearly killed me because she thought I was cheating from some texts that went to my mother. Weird. I had an unstable ex who almost killed us by driving erratically on a freeway in Chicago because he saw me texting love you to someone. It was my brother. When he said my son's suicide attempt interfered with his ex's birthday party. I was blindsided by it. We lived together for a year about an hour from my hometown. We relocated, upon her request and desire, to my hometown prior to our marriage so that when we had kids, it's best to be close to family. We had a house we loved, a dog we loved, jobs we both loved working in, or so I thought. Married in October. She goes to visit her sister over the next Labor Day weekend and I can't attend due to work. Comes back the Tuesday after Labor Day and tells me she's living a lie and someone else's dream and she needs a divorce. I had no idea. Divorce finalized in January. She married some dude that her sister was friends with, and she met on that trip I was unable to attend, this September. Life is wild, sometimes. Honeymoon. We dated for 5 years, but on the honeymoon we had a big argument over my liberal use of sunscreen. She refused to wear any because of chemicals and I liberally use it due to my ginger skin. We seriously argued over this for a good hour and she refused to even go into the pool with me because of sunscreen chemicals. After a scuba adventure with her, she could hardly walk because she got so burnt on her legs, whereas my skin didn't change. She then tried to convince me that it was all my fault because I didn't force her to wear the sunscreen and that the honeymoon was ruined. It was then I realized I picked the wrong person. After a few more psycho arguments, mad at me because of something in her dreams, mad because I didn't remind her to bring an umbrella, I had to call it quits. I can't stay with someone who constantly blames me for their own problems. Luckily no kids and I got back everything I brought into the marriage. When I found out she was sending Snapchats to a coworker, turns out she was sleeping with him. We got divorced. I met the girl of my dreams. We just had our first kid together 2 weeks ago. Not me, but my friend's sister. Her sister got engaged 8 months into a relationship and got married 4 months later. Everything went well the first 5 months, but the husband started acting different. He wasn't chatty, his good morning good night kisses became dull, etc. Her sister would ask if everything was okay and he would say I'm fine every time. Her sister didn't want to push him, so she waited for him to talk about what's bothering him. One evening after eating dinner, the husband said he wanted to talk about their relationship. Before he could talk about it, he started crying. He cried for a few minutes and then told her he's gay. The sister filed for divorce, and after the divorce was settled, she wasn't really mad at him anymore, so she went to see him and forgave him. They became good friends and the sister helped him become comfortable with his sexuality. She even helped him come out to his close friends and then to his family. 5 years later, the sister is now engaged to another man and expecting their first child. The ex-husband is now very happily married to a man for almost a year now. A happy ending. Finally. She went out for girls' night and met a new friend named Nicole at a bar. Started texting her a lot, then going to hang out now and then. We had a baby at home and she kept trying to go hang out with this girl from another town over with no last name whom I was not allowed to meet. His real name was Wesley. And here I thought she was just going to turn out to be a lesbian. I had been fooling around with this girl for a while. I never wanted anything serious, and I knew that from the start. Then my mom was killed. I went into a deep depression and this girl was there for me. Her mom had died of cancer about a year earlier and I guess we really bonded over that. It pushed us much further emotionally than we ever should have gone. We ended up doing a courthouse marriage. I knew within the month that I had fricked up, but I didn't want to just give up and get divorced. Once the emotions of my mom's death passed, I realized how toxic she really was. She was an incredibly unstable person and ended up just taking me into an even deeper depression. We divorced about a year ago, after being married for about 10 months, and I was immediately much happier. Marriage shouldn't be taken lightly, but people also shouldn't force themselves to be in unhealthy relationships. We all make mistakes. Don't waste your life with someone that doesn't deserve you. My sister got a civil marriage. Then they moved super freaking far away to the middle of nowhere cause he got a good job. My sister never finished college and he would remind her on a daily basis about it. She would get super depressed and he wouldn't believe her. She got sick once and he told her since she didn't go to the DMV that day she wasn't allowed to go to a theme park we were planning on going to that weekend. He would demean her whenever she couldn't get a job or even an interview, and she applied to practically everywhere within a 50-mile radius. He called her stupid in front of me and when I called him out he told me to mind my own business. If he wasn't twice my size I would have decked him. She left him after about a year cause he's obviously a raging butthole. When she left he told her she has nowhere to go and if she went to stay with our mom she would just be a burden like me. I was like 19 and in college at the time. He's a rude freaking dong but at least she got the car and the dog. Her running off with a guy she met in rehab was a pretty solid clue that it wasn't meant to be. Me too. Luckily we were not married but 5-year relationship. A cousin of mine divorced her husband after 6 months. She knew when we had to pick her up from her home after having been recently beaten. That day, we packed up all of her stuff and never let her go back. I'm happy that you guys could be there for her and help her get out. Hope she is doing well now. The day after we got married when he slapped me across the face, hard and completely out of the blue. No argument, no conversation leading up to it, nothing. He said it wasn't that hard of a hit. He was just kidding around, and I was being overdramatic. He had never gotten violent with me while dating, but as soon as we got married it was like a switch flipped and he was a completely different person. It got worse very quickly, and I ended up filing for divorce 73 days after we got married. That reminded me of the scene in It, book version, when Bev's husband slaps her as a test to see what he can get away with. I'm glad you escaped quickly. She decided she was in love with her stepbrother a month after we got married. I'm pretty sure I watched a preview of a scene with the same plotline last night. My Mill got married the first time when she was really young, left him a month later. Turns out he was a raging alcoholic. She had no idea because her family was super overprotective and they were never really allowed to spend time together alone before they got married. Who knew spending time with someone could be the key to knowing if they are a good partner? Not a year, but about 18 months. She was constantly complaining she didn't have friends after moving in with me, joined a local soccer team, and she talked about one teammate non-stop for months. I had a bad feeling about it from the get-go, but she assured me they were just friends and how dare I not trust her. Thought I was going crazy because my gut told me something wasn't right, but I was punishing myself for being a bad husband and not trusting my wife. Turned out it was all true. She had been fricking the teammate for months. Most likely fricked someone else during our engagement. Split amicably officially as of last week without any mess. Thank God. Just that crazy look in his eyes when I didn't do the dishes to his standards. Like he was going to hurt me. I should have left then because I was right. I'm glad you're out now. I knew my husband was crap during that time too, but my dumb ass put up with him for over 10 years because I wanted to try and make it work. Good job, guys. A cousin of mine married someone who seemed like the perfect woman. They worked in the same store together, and he would brag about how his wife was getting promoted quickly in the company. A few months into the marriage, she tells him she's going out with friends for the evening. An hour or so later, my cousin gets a call from one of his friends. The friend saw her having dinner in a restaurant with the manager of the store that they both worked at. Once he confronted her about it, that was basically the end of the marriage. When she fricked her ex within the first 6 months. Got married in late May. By August or September I found out from my dad that my husband, now ex, and my brother's wife were all texting. She was also my bridesmaid at our wedding. She felt guilty and told my dad, who had to tell me. I forgave him like a dingus, and about a year and a half later I found pictures of him sucking 2 different dongs in our house and also wearing quite a bit of my nice makeup. All of this after we moved to Washington from Florida. It's been wild. We're obviously divorced now. I had to reread this like 5 times before I realized it was your husband and not your dad that was assisting your brother's wife. My brother died a week after the wedding, and after about 2 months, he told me that was just too big of a thing to happen in the beginning of a marriage. I tried for 6 more months and then just gave up. I'm sorry about your brother. I'm sorry your husband wasn't supportive. That's kind of a dong move. To say your grief is too much of a drag for me, but it sounds like you weren't a great match in the first place. The next morning I woke up and thought, when would be a socially acceptable time to get divorced? In hindsight that says miles about why I felt I had to get married. A couple of weeks into our marriage, the physical intimacy started to physically hurt. I went to my OB and after a test or 2, she informed me I had contracted chlamydia. That's when I knew. Turns out, my newlywed husband had been banging his co-worker for months. Girl I know, 1 month in she found out he cheated the day of the wedding. When I was in Iraq and she posted a picture on Facebook of her and another guy laying in bed together, it was obvious that they had just hooked up. Don't get married to fix relationships. Pro-life tip. The day after the wedding when he poked me in the chest and said, "You're going to do what I say whether you like it or not." Ugh. Big mistake. Not technically within a year, but when I returned from my first deployment, 10 months, I found out she had been sleeping with 3 of my buddies. Told her to pack her crap and get the frick out. When she pulled a knife a month in, I still stayed for a full year like an idiot. I had a girlfriend pull a knife on me as I was moving out, to try to get me to stay. Yeah, no, bye. Not me but my dad. He got back from his honeymoon and went back to work. He came home and something felt off when he walked in the door. She wasn't there when he got home from work, which was very odd for her since she got off work earlier than him and was always home when he got back. When she got back he mentioned that it was out of the ordinary that she had been out and asked if she went somewhere. He wasn't accusatory, just curious because it never happened, but she dodged his questions at first. Eventually, after he got suspicious of her dodging a simple question, she admitted that she'd quit her job, and when he asked why, she said she didn't need to work, so she was planning on using him as her cash cow. He doesn't remember how the conversation went exactly since it was 30 years ago. He tried counseling and asked her to get her job back, but she always brushed him off and never took him seriously. He threw in the towel 7 months later and she started trying to fix things. But it had been 7 months of him trying to fix things and she had no interest. So he filed for divorce and went on to achieve his lifelong dream. He dated and then married his middle school crush, my mom, 28 years strong. Friend of mine, very religious couple, never had physical intimacy before marriage. Told H she was gay 2 weeks before their 1 year. I want this to be told her she was gay. That would be the start of a good joke, I bet. Not me, but a female friend knew 4-6 weeks into marriage. Her husband at the time basically spent a few years prior to marriage being a bit of a salesman to everyone. Once they got behind closed doors, his traditional marriage roots really came out. They both had fast moving careers, and while he was okay with her making money and having a career, he also expected her to cook, clean, take care of the dogs, etc. and never lifted a finger. He would just come home and pound drinks until dinner time. I knew it was a mistake about 2 months into our engagement. I actually broke up with her for a week but didn't tell anyone other than my parents. Something just didn't feel right. She ended up begging me every single day and I just felt really bad and got back with her. We pretended like it never happened. Got married 9 months later and she ended up cheating on me a little over a year into our marriage. I still don't freaking understand her logic behind all that, but whatever. It's done and I've moved on, but I'll never understand why she wanted me back so badly and did that not even 2 years later. I doubt she even knows why she did it herself. Don't waste time thinking about it. I'm glad you've moved on. Knew before we even got married. Spoke about how I thought it didn't feel right with my family a couple months before the big day, but was told it was just cold feet and we'd be fine after the wedding. Almost a year later I was still miserable, so I left. Was an absolute crap storm, but so worth it. I got married shortly after tech school. About 4 months after, we made plans for her to move from NC to TX to join me, as I am in the military and can't move. 3 times I brought it up. 3 times she said she just needed more time to move. Finally, the 4th time she said she couldn't leave her friends and family to move across the country to start our lives together. A year later, we were divorced. Or well, I divorced her. She obviously didn't come down to Texas for that. Signed a waiver of citation to not get any news about it. So I basically got to divorce myself, which, after hearing how vindictive ex-spouses can be, I chalk that up to a blessing. Not me, but a cousin. Me and my family were at a wedding reception sitting outside on a deck. My cousin comes out to sit with us for a bit and pulls out a pack of cigarettes. Her first words were, "Please don't tell him I smoke." They moved to California a few weeks later and divorced within a week of being there. Should mention they were engaged before she got out of high school. Day after we got engaged, he changed. Then he uninvited my family to the wedding, said they would take my attention away from him. We lasted 3 months, and then I ran and hid. Less than a year into actively trying to get pregnant, he got discouraged, gave up and started staying out until 4:15 AM with his coworker. He posted selfies on her couch on Snapchat and even went as far as asking her to marry him once he could get rid of me. He had 2 biological children, my stepchildren, that he abandoned at home with me while he was out doing this. The icing on the cake was that on my favorite holiday, while holding my brand new baby nephew in front of his entire family, he told me he wanted a divorce. I was gone in 2 weeks, left everything to him, and vanished. New number, new address, everything. Best choice I ever made. I think I knew for a while, but I finally admitted it after I had left. He was abusive and it happened so slowly that I didn't see it. It's almost like being lulled to sleep. It started emotionally before I married him. Then by about 6 months and the physical abuse had started. Shortly after, it progressed to scrot as well. Long story short, a close friend saw some bruising. She was concerned and went to my parents. My dad confronted my ex and basically forced me to leave with them. At the time, I was so brainwashed I didn't get it. It's scary to look back on how out of it I truly was during that period of time. It almost feels like I was an observer of my own life. 7 years and a lot of therapy later, I am in a much healthier place and in a happy, healthy relationship. You've been visited by the cool dude's dog. You will be blessed with coolness if you comment catch a wave papa. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.